let's recap where we are. We are seeing confusion reign when it comes to the NDIS and the legislation that is meant to support it. The changes that the government rammed through last year are wreaking havoc in the lives of so many disabled people, their families and their allies. Participants are receiving conflicting information from staff. Agency staff are not interacting in a trauma-informed way. Planners continue not to read the evidence they have been provided with and have often requested. There is a continual pattern of planners and agency delegates making a call, giving a view in relation to clinical evidence that they are not qualified to assess. Meanwhile, we also continue to see agency staff breach participants' privacy through the sharing of confidential information without the consent of participants, continuing to email the wrong people with the wrong information again and again. The new 3-month funding period that has been introduced by the government continues to limit choice and control. Because guess what? Some people's funding needs and the expenses that go with them don't fit neatly into a 3-month funding period. Sometimes they need intense supports requiring additional funding for longer periods than 3 months. It just does not make sense. It's the type of bureaucratic nonsense that the NDIS was created to eliminate. The biggest casualty, though, of this new NDIS Act is the fact that the legislation no longer considers reasonable and necessary in its determination of funding or of supports. And what have we seen as a result of that? We have seen over 700 new appeals to the tribunal in May of 2025 alone. It also seems, by the way, that the participant service guarantee, much celebrated when it was passed, has just been chucked out the window. In March 2025, in that quarter, only 9% of people who applied to get access to the NDIS had that request actioned in the required 21-day period. 9%. Meanwhile, the agency continue to make unreasonable requests on participants. Things like saying that they have 2 business days to apply in relation to the progression of complaints, an unreasonable deadline in itself, but then in fact closing the complaint as they hadn't received the information within their own 2-day deadline. We are continuing to see participants kicked off the scheme because of what appears to me to be a culture in the agency that prioritises media management over supporting participants and their families, seeing participants kicked off their supports because selectively edited bits of information were presented to a minister by a shock jock during an interview, resulting in a diktat to kick that participant off the scheme. What happened? 10 months later, after appeal after appeal after appeal, they got their funding back because guess what? The information the agency had was not sufficient to make the decision, and in fact, if the evidence was looked at, the person very much did meet the access requirements and needed those supports. This is an absolute shame on this government and indeed on the entire body of the political system dominated by the major parties. Both the Liberal Party and the Labour Party and the National Party should hang their heads in shame when they hear what is happening to NDIS participants right now. The fear and uncertainty, the cuts and the pain from people that deserve so much better. Well, we in the Greens will keep fighting for disabled people and their families.
Authorised by J. Steele-John, Australian Greens, Canberra.